What if the object we've been watching for months coming from deep space isn't just a comet, but something far more dangerous? Something that could change everything we know about life in our solar system. Before we explore the mysteries of 3I Atlas, make sure to subscribe and share your thoughts. What do you think? Is this object a natural phenomenon, or could it be something far more intentional? The world was thrown into shock when 3I Atlas, an interstellar object, made its unexpected arrival in our solar system. At first glance, it appeared to be just another comet, a rock from the depths of space making its way through the cosmic expanse. But as the object drew closer, something unusual began to surface. And as it did, something even stranger took place. NASA, the very agency charged with exploring and understanding the cosmos, fell eerily silent. What was happening behind the scenes? Why the lack of communication, the sudden hesitancy to release data, and the absence of the usual enthusiasm that would accompany such a monumental discovery? Was 3I Atlas just another rock from the stars, or was there something more sinister lurking beneath its icy surface? For months, the astronomical community had been anticipating the arrival of 3I Atlas. It was the third known interstellar object to enter our solar system, following the brief but memorable visits of Oumuamua in 2017 and 2I Borisov in 2019. But unlike its predecessors, 3I Atlas didn't just pass through quietly. From the moment it was detected, it began to defy expectations and pose more questions than answers. The object's trajectory, its composition, and its behaviour quickly raised suspicions among those paying attention. It wasn't like anything humanity had observed before. Scientists began to wonder, could this be more than just a rogue asteroid or comet? Was it possible that 3I Atlas was something far more deliberate? NASA, which had spearheaded the study of interstellar objects, had always been transparent when it came to these cosmic visitors. Every discovery, every new piece of data, was usually met with a flood of excitement and an eagerness to share findings with the world. But this time, the response was shockingly different. Official channels were slow to release any significant data about 3I Atlas. In fact, there was almost a palpable sense of hesitation, as if NASA were deliberately holding back information. The usual press releases, updates, and scientific papers didn't materialize. Instead, the public was left to speculate, fueled by cryptic statements and the occasional vague comment from anonymous sources. This silence was particularly striking given the object's proximity to Mars. As 3I Atlas passed within millions of kilometers of the red planet, an opportunity for humanity to get an unprecedented view of an interstellar visitor was slipping through our fingers. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter was in position, ready to take the clearest images ever captured of such an object. Yet, as 3I Atlas passed by, no high-resolution images were released, no captivating footage shared. Instead, the object's closest flyby was met with silence. The Mars Orbiter had a clear view of the object, as did several other space agencies. Yet, not a single image or update was provided to the public. Why the sudden quiet from an agency that had once eagerly shared its every discovery? This behaviour was completely at odds with how NASA had handled the other two interstellar visitors. When Oumuamua passed through our solar system, images flooded in. The scientific community rallied around it, publishing papers, speculating on its origins, and analysing its strange acceleration. And when Borisov entered the scene, scientists were again quick to share data, giving the world a front-row seat to the cosmic event. But 3I Atlas was different. As the object passed close to Mars, the best chance we had for a high-definition image of an interstellar object, we were left with nothing more than a few faint images from amateur astronomers and a single, vague shot from the Perseverance rover. For a moment, it almost seemed as if the world's space agencies were looking the other way. It wasn't just the silence that raised eyebrows, it was the object itself. Early observations hinted at its strange properties, things that didn't quite add up. For one, 3I Atlas was brighter than it should have been, far more luminous than an object that distant from the Sun had any right to be. The light it reflected didn't fit the pattern observed in typical comets or asteroids. This unusual brightness was the first clue that something wasn't right. As astronomers and space agencies scrambled to explain it, more peculiarities emerged. The object was rotating too slowly for a comet of its size, and its trajectory was almost unnervingly precise. The more scientists looked, the more they began to suspect that 3 Atlas was not just a natural visitor, but something far more deliberate. NASA's silence only deepened the mystery. Why were they holding back? Were they simply playing it safe, waiting for more data before making a definitive statement? Or was there something more to the story, something they weren't ready to reveal? The more questions that arose, the less clear the answers became. As the object continued its journey through our solar system, some began to wonder if the truth was being carefully hidden from the public. Not just because of the object's peculiarities, but because of what it might mean for humanity's place in the universe. The arrival of 3I Atlas had set the stage for a mystery unlike any other. Was this just another interstellar object, or was it the first glimpse of something far more profound? One thing was certain. As the object continued its path through the solar system, the world would have to face a truth that, until then, had been carefully kept in the shadows. From the moment 3I Atlas was detected, astronomers immediately began tracking its trajectory. As they observed its path, something unexpected became painfully clear. This object wasn't behaving like any interstellar visitor they had seen before. Unlike the random, unpredictable paths of past interstellar objects, 3I Atlas's route through our solar system was eerily precise. What was once thought to be an anomaly soon became a source of growing concern. The object's path was not only too perfect to be natural, but it also appeared to be aligned in a way that suggested intentional navigation, a precision that had scientists scratching their heads. Interstellar objects by nature are wild, unpredictable wanderers. They don't follow neat, orderly trajectories like planets or moons. They are thrown off course by the gravitational pulls of distant stars and black holes. It's this very randomness that makes them so intriguing and so difficult to track. But 3 Atlas was different. As astronomers analysed its movements, they noticed something that defied the odds. Its trajectory, rather than veering off at strange angles or following a chaotic path, was aligned remarkably closely with the ecliptic plane of our solar system. This plane, which is the flat disk where most of the solar system's planets and moons orbit, is typically reserved for objects that were formed here, within our solar system. The odds of a random object from interstellar space entering our solar system and aligning so closely with the ecliptic were slim, almost astronomically so. Statisticians began crunching the numbers, and the probability of this trajectory occurring by chance was calculated to be less than 0.2%. The chances of a body from another star system randomly following the plane of our solar system were incredibly low. In fact, objects that enter our solar system from interstellar space are usually expected to come from random angles, cutting through the plane at steep angles, defying our solar system's orderly arrangement. But 3I Atlas wasn't doing that. Instead, it seemed to have a purpose, a direction. Its path was too precise to be the result of a mere cosmic accident. The peculiar alignment wasn't just a statistical anomaly, it seemed to be a deliberate design. The path of 3I Atlas allowed it to pass unusually close to several planets, including Mars. Its trajectory was such that it came within a few million kilometers of our neighboring planet, a rare and nearly impossible event. That alone sparked a flurry of questions. Why was this object positioned so perfectly to make these close passes? Why had it entered the solar system on such a precise course, especially when past interstellar objects had barely grazed the outer edges of the solar system? Scientists couldn't help but wonder, was this just coincidence, or was 3I Atlas directed here? It didn't take long before speculations about the object's origin began to surface. Some scientists started to consider the possibility that 3I Atlas was not a random visitor, but something more deliberate, perhaps a probe or even a spacecraft sent with a specific purpose. After all, natural objects from distant stars don't generally follow such meticulously calculated paths. If it were a mission, then who or what was sending it, and why? These questions intensified as the object's path continued to align with the solar system's gravitational forces in a way that suggested not just random passage, but careful navigation, as if someone or something had charted its course with pinpoint accuracy. The idea that 3I Atlas might not be a natural object began to gain traction. The precision of its trajectory raised the possibility that it could be the product of an intelligence far beyond our current understanding. But the more scientists delved into its path, the more they realized how bizarrely perfect it was. If 3i Atlas was simply a rock, a comet wandering aimlessly through space, why was its course so calibrated to make its way into our solar system in exactly the right spot, at exactly the right time? The more they looked, the more it seemed as though 3i Atlas had been planned, rather than accidentally set into motion by the whims of cosmic forces. By the time the object was nearing Mars, the mystery deepened further. This wasn't just another comet making a casual trip through the solar system. This was something more, something that had been deliberately directed. Its arrival seemed to be too coordinated, too timed to be a random event. In fact, the more astronomers investigated, the more it appeared that the path of 3i Atlas could have been guided by forces beyond the natural world. Could it be that 3i Atlas was a signal, a messenger, or perhaps even a tool for a much larger mission? Its trajectory was too precise to be the result of pure randomness, leading many to believe that there was something or someone steering it through space, and it was heading directly toward Mars with a purpose. As this revelation sank in, it became impossible to ignore the unsettling truth. 3i Atlas wasn't just a curious anomaly, it was a calculated presence, a visitor with an agenda. And as it continued on its journey through the solar system, we were left to ask one simple question. What would happen when it finally reached its destination? When 3i Atlas was first detected, it was as if the universe had decided to throw a wrench into everything scientists thought they knew about interstellar objects. At a distance far beyond the orbit of Jupiter, where sunlight is weak and most comets are little more than frozen, inert rocks, 3i Atlas was glowing brightly, far brighter than it had any right to be. This unexpected burst of light set off a chain reaction of confusion and alarm among astronomers and space agencies worldwide. How could an object so far from the sun be shining with such intensity? Was this just a fluke, or was there something far more troubling hidden beneath its strange glow? The first indication that 3i Atlas wasn't behaving like any typical comet came when astronomers began to calculate its expected brightness. According to established models, objects that far out in the solar system should be nearly impossible to detect. They should be cold, dark, and unremarkable, not glowing like a beacon in the night sky. Yet 3i Atlas, still hundreds of millions of kilometers from the sun, was radiating light at an intensity that defied all expectations. The brightness it emitted was far more than could be explained by the faint sunlight it was receiving at that distance. Something wasn't adding up. Scientists scrambled to come up with an explanation. The most obvious answer was that 3i Atlas was outgassing, expelling gas and dust from its icy core as it slowly warmed up. This process, which creates the characteristic glowing coma and tail of a typical comet, is triggered when a comet gets close enough to the sun for the heat to vaporize its ices. But 3i Atlas wasn't anywhere near close enough for that. According to standard cometary behavior, it should have remained a faint shadowy object at the edge of the solar system, barely visible to even the most advanced telescopes. Instead, it was dazzling, as if it had a light source of its own. The more data came in, the more the scientific community was forced to confront the possibility that the object's brightness wasn't caused by natural outgassing at all. Some researchers began to propose more outlandish theories. What if 3i Atlas wasn't just an ordinary comet? What if, instead, it was emitting light due to something far more mysterious, something far beyond the capabilities of known cometary science? Could the object be powered by something artificial? The possibility that this unusual brightness could be the result of some sort of technology, hidden beneath its surface, sent chills through the scientific community. It was a thought too wild to ignore, yet too troubling to dismiss. As the weeks went on, the questions grew more urgent. How could 3i Atlas be so bright, and why? Was it possible that it was deliberately reflecting more light than it should? Could it be that the object wasn't just a frozen relic of an ancient star system, but something intentionally engineered to behave differently from any other interstellar object we've ever encountered? With each new observation, the theories became bolder. Some even began to wonder if 3i Atlas was a probe, a piece of alien technology sent from distant stars, purposefully altered to shine in ways that would draw attention. After all, natural bodies don't just glow like this unless something unnatural is at play. NASA's silence only intensified the mystery. As the brightest object in our sky outside of the Sun and Moon, 3i Atlas should have been the subject of intense study and public announcement. Yet the space agency remained unusually quiet. withholding data that might have answered some of the most pressing questions about its extraordinary light. What were they seeing that they weren't sharing? Why, when so many professionals were scrambling to understand this phenomenon, were official updates so scarce? The scientific community was left to fill in the blanks. Was 3 Atlas simply an unusual comet, or was it something more, something that shouldn't exist in our understanding of astrophysics? The glowing object in the sky seemed to be challenging the very foundations of what we thought we knew about the cosmos. Its brightness raised new questions, ones that went far beyond just its composition or trajectory. It beckoned a darker thought. Could 3 Atlas be more than a cosmic anomaly? Could it be a warning, or worse, a deliberate signal? The more astronomers examined the object, the less they understood it, and the more questions arose, the greater the silence from the agencies responsible for investigating it. 3 Atlas wasn't just another comet. It was a riddle, wrapped in a cosmic enigma, and as it glowed in the distance, it seemed to be daring humanity to solve it before it was too late. As astronomers continued to study 3I Atlas, the object began to reveal itself as something far more perplexing than anyone had anticipated. Its brightness and unusual trajectory had already raised eyebrows, but it was the object's chemical composition that truly sent shockwaves through the scientific community. For decades, astronomers and chemists had developed an understanding of what interstellar objects should look like, how they should behave, and, perhaps most importantly, what they should be made of. Comets were composed of water ice, methane, ammonia, and other volatile compounds, while asteroids typically contained rock and metals, often with a mix of carbon-rich materials. But 3 Atlas didn't fit neatly into any of these categories. In fact, it didn't fit into any known category at all. When data first came in from the various telescopes monitoring the object, scientists were baffled by the readings. The chemical composition of 3I Atlas didn't resemble anything previously observed in either comets or asteroids. Initially, the standard assumption was that it was a comet. After all, it was showing signs of outgassing and had a bright glowing coma. But as the chemical analysis continued, things took an even stranger turn. The object was emitting gases and chemicals that weren't just rare, they were outright impossible, at least by the standards of known celestial bodies. One of the first red flags was the strange ratio of carbon dioxide to water vapour found in the object's emissions. Comets, as any seasoned astronomer will tell you, are usually composed primarily of water ice, with traces of other gases. But 3 Atlas exhibited an alarming 8.1 ratio of carbon dioxide to water vapour, an incredibly strange and highly unusual composition. In fact, this ratio was so off the charts that it didn't align with anything seen in the chemical makeup of typical comets or asteroids. Instead, it more closely resembled the sort of atmospheric conditions you might expect to find in a controlled environment, not a random interstellar object travelling through the void. As if this wasn't troubling enough, further analysis revealed other bizarre compounds that should not have been present in a typical object from space. Nitrogen compounds, unusual organic molecules, and a variety of metals were found in trace amounts, seemingly out of place in what should have been a cold, inert body. But perhaps the most striking discovery was the presence of complex carbon molecules. These were the building blocks of life, the kind of compounds that form the basis for biological processes. It was a chemical signature that, for many scientists, began to feel unnervingly purposeful. What had once seemed like an odd but natural anomaly now appeared to be something far more deliberate. For years, researchers had considered the possibility that life beyond Earth could exist. But this chemical evidence, taken alongside the object's other oddities, started to point to a more disturbing possibility. 3I Atlas was not just an interstellar visitor. It was engineered. As the weeks went by and the data piled up, more and more scientists began to wonder if they were looking at a piece of technology, a device crafted by an intelligence far beyond humanity's grasp. This was no longer about a strange object from the stars. It was about something that didn't just fit the patterns of natural cosmic phenomena. It was exhibiting signs of design, a purposeful chemical composition that didn't happen by accident. Theories began to swirl about what 3I Atlas might be. Could it be a probe sent from another civilization, travelling through our solar system to gather data? Or was it a messenger, carrying information across the stars, meant for eyes that could decode its purpose? NASA, however, remained cautious. They tried to downplay the bizarre chemical signatures, labeling them as anomalous, but not out of the ordinary for an object of unknown origin. But to those in the scientific community who dared to dig deeper, it was clear that 3I Atlas wasn't just an anomaly. It was an object that simply didn't belong. Every aspect of its chemical makeup seemed too perfect, too deliberate for it to be a random occurrence. The more they looked, the more it felt like someone, or something, had carefully crafted it to behave this way. The implications of this discovery were profound. If 3I Atlas was the product of intelligent design, it meant that the universe was not as empty and unknowable as we had once thought. It would mean that life, or intelligence, had existed, and perhaps still exists, far beyond our understanding of the cosmos. It was the kind of discovery that could reshape our entire view of the universe and humanity's place in it. And as the object continued on its journey through our solar system, one undeniable truth began to emerge. 3I Atlas wasn't just an unexpected visitor. It was something much, much more. When 3I Atlas passed near Mars, it was supposed to be a defining moment in humanity's exploration of the cosmos. For months, astronomers and space agencies had been preparing for this moment, the closest encounter yet with an interstellar visitor, an unprecedented opportunity to gather data, take high-resolution images, and learn more about the mysterious object that had already raised so many questions. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, one of the most advanced instruments ever built for planetary observation, was perfectly positioned to capture the closest, clearest images of 3I Atlas. This was supposed to be the breakthrough of a lifetime. But instead of a flood of exciting images, data, and discoveries, something altogether more unsettling happened. Silence. As the object approached Mars, the world eagerly awaited updates. The media buzzed, amateur astronomers scrambled to get their images, and the scientific community prepared for the data that would undoubtedly flood in. But as the days passed, something strange occurred. NASA, the very agency responsible for monitoring interstellar objects and capturing the best images from Mars orbit, remained eerily quiet. No updates, no images, no press releases. It was as if the object didn't exist. For those paying attention, it wasn't just frustrating. It was deeply troubling. NASA's silence was compounded by the unexpected shutdown of mission operations in the days leading up to the Mars flyby. As 3I Atlas neared its closest approach, something odd happened. A significant portion of NASA's personnel was sent home. A government shutdown had been declared, affecting a large swath of the agency's operations. With 3I Atlas passing within 29 million kilometers of Mars, a distance far too close to ignore, the timing seemed almost too coincidental. Why would NASA, the agency most capable of observing such an event, decide to scale back operations just as 3I Atlas was about to offer humanity its most detailed look yet? Was it simply an unfortunate timing, or was there something more behind the decision? The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which should have been actively capturing images of the interstellar object, continued to collect data. The spacecraft's powerful instruments were working, but the images were not being released. This was highly unusual. In previous encounters with comets and asteroids, even less significant flybys, NASA had released real-time data and images as they were captured. But with 3I Atlas, it was as if the orbiter's high-resolution cameras had been deliberately silenced. No images, no updates, nothing. As the world looked on, the quiet became louder. Questions began to surface. Why was NASA holding back? Was there something they weren't telling us? Could the object have revealed something too significant, too strange for the public to handle? Theories began to swirl, ranging from the possibility that 3I Atlas was behaving in ways that defied current scientific understanding, to darker, more speculative ideas, suggesting that the object itself was far more than just a natural interstellar visitor. If it was a probe, or even a piece of alien technology, was NASA avoiding the release of information because it couldn't explain what it was seeing? Or worse, was there something about 3I Atlas that they were actively trying to hide? For many, the silence from NASA was more than just a communication breakdown. It felt like a deliberate decision to withhold something critical. The public was left to guess, to speculate, to fill in the blanks, while the agency that was supposed to provide transparency and insight remained tight-lipped. The eerie quiet seemed to grow louder with every passing day, with amateur astronomers and independent researchers being the only ones able to share any information about the object. But the data they collected was limited and scattered, far from the high-resolution images that should have been made available by NASA. This unprecedented lack of transparency began to raise alarm bells in the scientific community. Was this just a case of poor timing, or was there something in the data from 3i Atlas that was too unsettling for public consumption? The more scientists examined the available data, the more they realized how much had been left unsaid. There was no clear explanation for the silence, no official statement from NASA that could account for the absence of such crucial information. The situation was not just frustrating, it was deeply unsettling. What did NASA know, and why weren't they sharing it with the world? As 3i Atlas moved further from Mars and eventually slipped out of the solar system, the questions remained. The opportunity for humanity to understand the mysterious object passed by, leaving only the silence behind. The data that should have been released to the public was still locked away, hidden from view. For some, the quiet was deafening, a reminder that the truth might be far stranger, far more complex than we could have ever imagined. Was NASA hiding something, or was there truly nothing to report? Either way, the silence around 3i Atlas only deepened the mystery, and for the rest of us, the waiting game continued, knowing that the full story of this cosmic visitor may never be fully revealed. Long before NASA's official data on 3i Atlas could provide any definitive answers, something unexpected happened. A woman named Birdie Jaworski, a remote viewer with decades of experience, claimed to have tapped into the object's mysteries. Remote viewing, a practice that remains controversial in the scientific world, involves perceiving distant locations or objects using only the mind, often without prior knowledge of the target. It's a technique that some believe taps into a hidden realm of human perception, while others dismiss it as pseudoscience. But what Birdie described in her sessions, long before the scientific community could make sense of 3i Atlas, left many wondering, could she have really accessed something beyond our current understanding? Birdie's journey into the mystery of 3i Atlas began when she was given a set of coordinates. Just numbers, no context, no photographs, no media reports. These were coordinates tied to the interstellar object that had captured the world's attention. As she began her remote viewing session, she didn't know what she was about to encounter. All she had to go on was the target, a space object that was on a collision course with our solar system. But what she soon described would set the stage for one of the most unsettling revelations in this whole saga. As Birdie closed her eyes and began her session, she described a massive object, cold and ancient, drifting through space. It felt natural at first, a comet or asteroid with ice and rock, just as astronomers had suspected. But as she focused more, something extraordinary began to emerge. She described an internal structure within 3i Atlas, something that wasn't a natural part of a comet or asteroid. Embedded deep inside, she perceived a small, thumb drive-sized object, its purpose hidden, yet unmistakably artificial. It wasn't just a rock she was seeing. There was technology inside it, technology that had been deliberately placed there. At first, Birdie struggled to articulate what she was seeing, but the more she focused, the more the image became clear. A tiny, intricately designed object, packed with information, hidden within the icy depths of 3i Atlas. It wasn't just a piece of alien technology, it seemed like an archive, a message in a bottle, left there by some distant intelligence. The idea that a small device could be so meticulously embedded inside such an ancient object wasn't something the scientific community had even considered. Comets and asteroids don't contain artificial components, or so they thought. Birdie's sessions weren't limited to just one. She felt compelled to continue, to dig deeper, to understand the object she was seeing in her mind's eye. In follow-up sessions, she reported more unsettling details. The thumb drive-sized device, she claimed, wasn't just a piece of alien tech left behind for us to find. It was broadcasting something, a signal, a message. The transmission was faint, pulsing, almost as if it were trying to communicate with us. Birdie couldn't discern the content of the message. It wasn't something that could easily be understood by a human mind. But the act of broadcasting was undeniable. For those who are skeptical of remote viewing, it's easy to dismiss Birdie's revelations as speculation, a product of overactive imagination. But there were details in her descriptions that aligned eerily with what the scientific community had already observed. At the same time, there were elements that didn't fit with anything known about the object. While NASA and other space agencies had focused on the observable characteristics of 3I Atlas, its unusual trajectory, its bright glow, its strange chemical composition, Birdie's remote viewing sessions suggested that there was something else entirely at play. There was technology at the heart of 3I Atlas, something intelligent and purposeful, not a random cosmic object. As the world continued to speculate about the true nature of 3I Atlas, Birdie's findings gained traction. Some saw her sessions as evidence that there was more to 3I Atlas than met the eye, while others scoffed at the idea. Yet, in the weeks that followed, more remote viewers, working independently, reported similar perceptions. They too described small technological objects embedded within the comet-like body, and they too felt a strange sense of purpose behind the object's journey through our solar system. Could it be that multiple people, from different walks of life, were tapping into something real, something that the scientific community had yet to uncover? Or was this all just coincidence? The fact that Birdie had zero prior knowledge of 3I Atlas, and yet described an object so specific, down to its size and function, shook many to their core. How could she have known that there was something artificial inside the object? How could she describe it with such accuracy, months before NASA's scientists were able to make any conclusions of their own? In the end, Birdie Jaworski's revelations were both fascinating and disturbing. They suggested that 3I Atlas was not just an interstellar visitor, but a carefully crafted tool, possibly left behind by an intelligence far beyond our understanding. Was she merely speculating, or had she tapped into something we could not yet comprehend? Whatever the truth may be, her remote viewing sessions raised more questions than answers, and they added yet another layer of mystery to the already enigmatic 3I Atlas. The object was no longer just a cosmic anomaly. It had become a potential messenger, and whatever it had to say, we had yet to understand. When 3I Atlas was first discovered, it was hailed as just another interstellar object passing through our solar system, a comet-like body tumbling through space, leaving a trail of dust and gas behind it. But as astronomers began to track its progress, something caught their attention: the object's shape. It was unlike anything anyone had seen before. While comets typically exhibit irregular, often ragged forms, 3I Atlas was different. Multiple observers, both professional and amateur, reported an eerie, elongated, almost cylindrical shape. It wasn't just a slight elongation, the kind you might expect from a comet's rotation. No, 3I Atlas appeared to be unnervingly uniform, with a sleek, unnatural symmetry that defied natural explanations. For months the object's unusual form persisted, sparking confusion and curiosity. Astronomers who had long studied comets and asteroids couldn't ignore the fact that this shape was unlike anything they had encountered. Natural celestial bodies, whether comets or asteroids, tend to be irregular in shape, shaped by billions of years of collisions and gravitational forces. Even the first interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, while elongated, was still a random, jagged object, the kind you would expect from an ancient cosmic wanderer. But 3I Atlas was different. Its elongated form, coupled with its smooth, almost metallic sheen, raised serious questions. Was it just another oddball comet, or was it something engineered, something designed? As reports from amateur astronomers began to pour in, many echoed the same findings. 3I Atlas wasn't just a comet. It was a perfect cylinder, or at least something so close to a cylinder that the difference was indistinguishable. The idea of a comet being shaped this way simply didn't make sense. A comet, after all, is the result of natural processes, the collision of icy bodies, the grinding down of rocky surfaces over millennia. But 3I Atlas seemed to defy all of this. It was as if it had been deliberately crafted, its form too precise to be the product of cosmic randomness. The more astronomers examined the object, the more it became clear that the shape was not an optical illusion. The elongated, almost geometrically perfect form wasn't something that could easily be explained away as the result of light scattering or the way dust and gas were interacting with the object's surface. The reports grew more detailed, with observers noting that 3I Atlas appeared smooth and uniform, as though it had been sculpted rather than formed naturally through the chaotic forces of space. This wasn't just an anomaly in shape. It was a design, a pattern, one that suggested intelligence. Even with this mounting evidence, the scientific community remained divided. Some experts were hesitant to entertain the idea that 3 Atlas could be anything other than a natural object, albeit an unusual one. They pointed out that the object's shape could be the result of natural forces, perhaps the way it had been tumbling through space, or the interaction of its surface materials with the solar wind. But others, more open to unconventional ideas, began to wonder, could 3I Atlas be an engineered object, a craft or probe from some distant civilization designed for a specific purpose? Its form seemed to suggest a level of sophistication and intent that no comet, no asteroid, could explain. Theories began to swirl. Could 3 Atlas have been deliberately shaped by a technological civilization? If so, why? What was its purpose, and what message was it trying to send? Some speculated that it might be a probe, sent to study our solar system or to gather data for an alien race. Others wondered if it was a spacecraft deliberately designed to appear as a natural object to avoid detection. The fact that it had been travelling through space for so long, without any apparent signs of wear or damage, only deepened the mystery. If it was indeed engineered, it suggested a level of technology far beyond our own. The elongated shape of 3I Atlas wasn't just a curiosity. It was the first tangible evidence that the object might be something far more than a simple cosmic wanderer. The idea that this object, seemingly crafted with such purpose and precision, could have been travelling through space for billions of years without anyone noticing was both thrilling and unsettling. It raised questions about the nature of the universe, the possibility of intelligent life beyond Earth, and the existence of advanced technologies that could be far beyond our comprehension. For those who had spent their lives studying space, the idea that 3I Atlas might not be a natural object was a game-changer. It wasn't just another interstellar object. It was the potential key to unlocking a mystery that had eluded humanity for millennia. The shape of 3I Atlas wasn't just unusual, it was a symbol, one that suggested we might not be alone in the universe, and that there were forces at play far beyond our understanding. Whether 3I Atlas was a cosmic accident or something far more intentional, one thing was certain. Its shape was the first clue in a puzzle that could change everything. As 3 Atlas made its way through our solar system, its behaviour began to raise more questions than answers. Its unusual trajectory, chemical composition, and the eerie silence from space agencies suggested something far beyond a simple interstellar object. But it was when astronomers began to notice the parallels between 3I Atlas and ancient prophecies that the mystery deepened in ways no one could have expected. Was it all just a coincidence? Or was 3I Atlas trying to communicate something? A hidden message, perhaps, one that had been waiting for the right moment and the right object to reveal itself. Ancient texts from various cultures, spanning across continents and centuries, describe celestial events tied to the arrival of mysterious visitors. From the ancient Sumerian tablets to Mayan calendar systems, the arrival of unusual objects in the sky has long been seen as a harbinger of change. And now here was 3 Atlas, a comet from another star system, coming at a time when humanity was on the verge of its own monumental shift. Could this object be more than just a wandering rock? Was it possible that 3I Atlas wasn't simply passing through, but instead had arrived with a purpose, carrying a message for Earth? A message that we were only beginning to decode? The trajectory of 3I Atlas seemed almost too perfect to be a coincidence. Its path through the solar system, aligned so precisely with the ecliptic plane, made it an object of great interest. But it wasn't just the path it took that was curious. It was also the timing of its arrival. According to ancient texts, prophecies of heavenly visitors had often been tied to specific celestial alignments, and 3I Atlas's trajectory seemed to coincide with several of these ancient predictions. From the Sumerians to the Egyptians, there were accounts of celestial bodies, comets, stars, and other unexplained phenomena, marking the dawn of new eras, bringing with them both destruction and enlightenment. Could 3I Atlas be another such visitor, returning at a time when humanity was ready to understand its true purpose? The strange chemical composition of 3I Atlas also added weight to the theory that this object was carrying something significant, something that wasn't just random. The ratio of carbon dioxide to water vapour, which was so drastically different from anything seen in other comets, made many ask, what if these chemical signatures were not just the result of a natural process? What if they were a deliberate signal, encoded in the object's very makeup waiting to be discovered. And if this was a message, what did it say? Was it a warning, a guide, or something else entirely? As the days passed and the object continued its journey through our solar system, more and more theories began to circulate. Some suggested that 3i Atlas was a probe, not just any probe, but one carrying the remnants of an ancient civilization's intelligence, deliberately placed inside a comet-like shell, designed to be discovered at just the right moment. The fact that 3 Atlas's path aligned so closely with Earth's trajectory in the vastness of space only fueled the idea that this object had a specific destination, a specific purpose. Was it trying to reach us, or was it simply passing by with a message that we were only now capable of understanding? The timing of 3i Atlas's arrival couldn't be ignored. In the past century, humanity had made incredible strides in technology, space exploration, and our understanding of the universe. We were now more capable than ever of receiving signals from deep space, analysing cosmic phenomena, and even searching for life beyond Earth. Was 3i Atlas's sudden appearance in our solar system the universe's way of drawing our attention to something greater? Could it be that we had reached a threshold in our evolution, and the arrival of 3i Atlas marked a moment when humanity was finally ready to receive this long-awaited message? This was no longer just a scientific discovery. It had become something much more profound. If 3i Atlas was trying to communicate, it wasn't just sending a simple signal. It was part of a much larger cosmic puzzle, one that spanned time and space. The object itself seemed like a messenger carrying knowledge that could change everything we knew about life in the universe, about our place in the cosmos, and about the very fabric of reality itself. The fact that this object was so different from anything we had seen before, its trajectory, its composition, its sheer perfection, hinted at the possibility that 3 Atlas was not just a random visitor. It was a deliberate presence, one that had come at the right time, with a message for humanity. As the object continued its journey, disappearing into the depths of space, it left us with more questions than answers. Was it a warning, a guide, or simply an object of scientific curiosity? The truth about 3i Atlas might remain elusive for years, but one thing was clear. Its arrival had already shifted something in the collective consciousness of humanity. It was a reminder that we are not alone in the universe, that there are forces beyond our understanding, and that the answers we seek may be closer than we think. What 3i Atlas was trying to tell us, if anything, may never be fully understood, but its very presence has already begun to change the way we look at the stars. As 3 Atlas continued its journey through the solar system, the mystery surrounding its origins only deepened. What was once thought to be just another interstellar object was rapidly becoming something far more enigmatic. While the scientific community initially assumed that 3i Atlas was simply a rogue comet, drifting through space on its unpredictable path, an unsettling number of anomalies began to surface. Its unusual trajectory, its baffling brightness, and its strange chemical composition all pointed to something more deliberate, something far more engineered than just a random celestial wanderer. The more astronomers and scientists studied the object, the more they began to ask, was 3i Atlas really a natural visitor, or was it a piece of technology, a carefully placed instrument sent to monitor, manipulate, or perhaps even change our solar system? At first, it seemed absurd, a comet sent from some distant, unknown civilization. But the facts kept mounting. The object's trajectory, while seemingly random at first glance, was aligned too perfectly with the ecliptic plane of the solar system. The odds of such an alignment occurring naturally were astronomically low. And then there was its brightness, much brighter than any object at its distance from the sun had any right to be. Comets, when far from the sun, are cold and dark, barely visible to even the most powerful telescopes. But 3i Atlas was glowing with an intensity that suggested something else was at play. Could this be the result of some technology? And if so, what kind of technology could create an object that behaved so strangely? The more astronomers analysed the chemical composition of 3i Atlas, the more they were convinced that the object was not simply a random accumulation of cosmic debris. The ratios of gases like carbon dioxide to water vapour were completely off from what one would expect in a comet. And then there were the unexpected organic compounds and metals that seemed far too deliberate to be natural. This wasn't just a comet passing through. This was something that had been designed, something engineered with purpose. The idea that 3i Atlas was a manufactured object, not just an interstellar rock, began to gain serious traction. As these anomalies began to pile up, a chilling thought started to take shape. What if 3i Atlas wasn't just a wayward object at all? What if it had been placed in our solar system intentionally, as part of a much larger plan? Some began to speculate that this was no random comet, but a probe, a tool designed to monitor, study, or even alter the dynamics of our solar system. If this was the case, then who, or what, could be behind such a mission? The idea that 3i Atlas could be an artificial object sent by an intelligence from beyond our solar system raises countless questions. If it was sent to monitor us, what was it watching for? Was it a reconnaissance mission, gathering data on our planet or our solar system as a whole? If it was designed to manipulate or alter the solar system in some way, what was its ultimate purpose? Was this some kind of cosmic experiment, one that humanity was unaware of but could potentially have profound consequences? The more one thought about it, the more it seemed like 3i Atlas could be a piece of an ancient interstellar project, designed to observe or influence the very course of life in our solar system. What made the theory even more disturbing was the timing. 3i Atlas arrived at a moment when humanity was on the brink of major advancements in space exploration and technological development. Could this object have been sent to test humanity's capabilities, to gauge how close we were to achieving a level of advancement that could rival its creators? And why had it chosen this moment in time to arrive, at a point when we were more equipped than ever to understand its true nature? Was this a challenge? A message that we were now ready to decode? Or was it a warning of some kind, a subtle reminder that the universe may be more intricately controlled than we realize? As the scientific community continued to wrestle with these questions, the lack of official communication from NASA and other space agencies only fueled the theory that 3i Atlas was not a natural object, but something far more deliberate. Why were they not releasing all the data on the object? What had they seen that they weren't sharing with the public? The silence from official channels seemed to suggest that there was more at play than the scientific community was being told. It was as if those who were responsible for observing 3i Atlas knew something they weren't ready to disclose, something so profound, so potentially disruptive, that they chose to keep it hidden. And then there was the shape of 3i Atlas. Unlike any comet or asteroid ever observed, it appeared to be unnervingly cylindrical and elongated, as though designed for some specific purpose. Natural bodies do not tend to exhibit such geometric precision. Could it be that 3i Atlas was designed to perform a particular function, to accomplish a task that had been planned for millennia? If it was truly an engineered object, who had created it, and what was its mission? The idea that 3i Atlas was not just a rogue rock but a piece of technology, sent with purpose, brought with it a host of unsettling implications. Was our solar system under observation, being monitored by a civilization far more advanced than ours? Were we as a species being tested, studied, or even manipulated by forces beyond our comprehension? As the object continued its journey through our solar system, the questions remained unanswered. And for every new piece of data, every strange anomaly observed, the possibility grew stronger that 3i Atlas was not just a cosmic accident, but a carefully placed instrument, sent from somewhere beyond our stars to watch, influence, or even shape the future of our solar system. As 3i Atlas passed through our solar system, the scientific community found itself increasingly perplexed by the object's peculiarities. No longer could it be dismissed as just another passing comet, a fragment of ice and rock drifting through the vastness of space. The more data was gathered, the more it became clear that 3i Atlas might not be a mere observer, but a tool, a deliberate instrument in a much grander scheme. As the mysteries surrounding the object deepened, one possibility began to emerge that was as captivating as it was unsettling. What if 3i Atlas was part of a grand cosmic engineering project, designed not just to observe, but to alter a planet's atmosphere, to terraform a world like Mars into something habitable? Terraforming, the concept of deliberately modifying a planet's environment to make it suitable for life, is something that has long been the stuff of science fiction. Yet, as humanity's understanding of planetary science has advanced, the idea of transforming a world to support life seems less like a fantasy and more like a possible future for humanity. But what if this capability already exists, not just within our grasp, but as part of a much older interstellar project? Could 3i Atlas be a piece of this project, a cosmic tool sent to prepare planets like Mars for future colonization, either by human civilization or by another intelligence? Mars, the red planet, has long been a subject of fascination for scientists, and for good reason. With its Earth-like features, seasons, polar ice caps, and a day just a little over 24 hours, it has long been considered the most likely candidate for terraforming. The planet's surface, rich in iron oxide, gives it its red hue, but beneath that surface lies a history that suggests Mars may once have had a thicker, more hospitable atmosphere. Some scientists speculate that Mars may have once supported life before a cataclysmic event stripped the planet of its atmosphere, leaving it barren and cold. Could it be that 3i Atlas was sent not just to observe Mars, but to trigger the processes that would restore it to its former glory? The chemical composition of 3i Atlas provided one of the first clues that this was no ordinary object. The high concentration of carbon dioxide in its emissions was unlike anything observed in a typical comet. On Earth, carbon dioxide is a key greenhouse gas, capable of trapping heat and warming a planet's atmosphere. In fact, one of the first steps in terraforming Mars is to thicken its atmosphere with greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide. If 3i Atlas is indeed releasing vast amounts of carbon dioxide, could it be that this is part of a larger, cosmic strategy to initiate this process on Mars? Some researchers have even speculated that 3i Atlas could be an instrument designed to trigger a planetary-scale transformation, a tool engineered to kickstart the process of planetary warming and atmospheric thickening. As 3i Atlas continued its trajectory through the solar system, its close pass by Mars seemed to be more than just a cosmic coincidence. The timing was almost too perfect. Here was an object, glowing with unnatural brightness, releasing the precise gases needed to kickstart the terraforming of a dead world, passing just within the reach of Mars. Was it simply chance that Mars was positioned in the right place at the right time? Or was this flyby orchestrated as part of a much larger plan? And if 3i Atlas was part of this plan, what other tools or forces were involved in the transformation of Mars? Was this just the first phase of a grander cosmic engineering project that had been unfolding for millennia? The concept of terraforming Mars has been discussed in scientific circles for decades, but the technology to carry it out has always been far beyond our reach. However, what if the technology existed long before humanity even began contemplating the idea? What if 3i Atlas was a piece of that advanced technology, designed to alter a planet's environment on a scale we could barely comprehend? This idea opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. The idea that Mars could be transformed into a livable world through a process of cosmic engineering, orchestrated by an intelligence far older and more advanced than humanity. But what would the purpose of such a transformation be? Why would anyone, or anything, go to such lengths to alter the atmosphere of a distant planet? The implications are staggering. If 3i Atlas is indeed part of a terraforming project, it could be that Mars is being prepared not just for human colonization, but for a more ancient or advanced civilization that may have been observing us for longer than we realize. It could also mean that Mars is being prepared for some kind of larger interstellar project, one that involves altering the environment of entire planets, possibly as part of a grander vision for the future of the solar system. The more the scientific community delves into the mystery of 3i Atlas, the more it becomes clear that this object is no ordinary interstellar visitor. Whether it is part of a terraforming project, a tool designed to transform Mars into a new world, or simply an advanced piece of technology, 3i Atlas forces us to confront the possibility that humanity is not the only intelligent species in the universe, and that the cosmic forces at work in our solar system may be far more intricate and purposeful than we ever imagined. As the object continues its journey, we are left to wonder, what is the end game? And are we witnessing just the beginning of a larger cosmic transformation? As 3i Atlas made its way through our solar system, it captivated the scientific community, raising questions that had never been asked before. Its unusual trajectory, baffling chemical composition, and strange brightness defied conventional understanding of what an interstellar object should be. Yet despite the growing sense of urgency surrounding the object, NASA remained strangely silent. While it is common for space agencies to hold back data as they work to confirm findings, the level of silence surrounding 3I Atlas was unprecedented. The more scientists and researchers looked into the data, the more they realized something unsettling. There was more to 3I Atlas than NASA was willing to admit, and the data it had collected could reveal something far beyond our comprehension. At first, the silence was easily explained away. After all, 3I Atlas was unlike anything we'd encountered before. Perhaps NASA wanted to ensure the integrity of its findings before releasing anything to the public. But as the weeks stretched on, and the object continued its unpredictable path, the silence became more troubling. Despite the vast amount of data collected on 3I Atlas from telescopes and spacecraft, NASA refused to release any substantial information. There were no live updates, no detailed images, no comprehensive scientific papers to accompany the discovery. Instead, the public was left with fragmented, sparse tidbits of information, fueling speculation, and creating a sense of unease among those following the object's trajectory. What was NASA hiding? What made the situation even more perplexing was that NASA had access to some of the most advanced instruments available to humanity. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, for instance, was perfectly positioned to capture high-resolution images of 3I Atlas as it passed by Mars. This spacecraft, equipped with one of the most powerful cameras ever sent into space, was capable of capturing details with incredible precision. Yet, as the object drew closer to Mars, the orbiter remained strangely quiet. The lack of images, the absence of updates from the agency, was not only unusual, it was deeply frustrating. Was the object too far out of reach for the spacecraft? No, it was clearly within range. Could there be something in the images that NASA wasn't ready to share? The data collected by other observatories around the world added to the mystery. Every new observation revealed further anomalies that seemed to indicate 3I Atlas wasn't just another comet, but something more. Its brightness defied the expected norms of cometary behavior, and its trajectory seemed almost too precise to be the result of random forces. The chemical composition, with its bizarre carbon dioxide to water ratio and the presence of unidentifiable organic compounds, raised more questions than answers. Yet, as the data poured in from scientists and independent researchers, NASA remained eerily silent. Why wouldn't they release all of the data they'd collected? Was there something in those numbers, those images, that they weren't ready to disclose? As the mystery deepened, theories about NASA's reluctance to share the full extent of the data began to circulate. Some suggested that the object was revealing something so profound, so paradigm-shifting, that the space agency was simply not prepared to explain it to the public. Others speculated that 3I Atlas might be showing signs of intelligent design, far beyond the scope of what was initially understood. Could the object be a probe, a piece of technology designed to study our solar system? Was NASA holding back because the data suggested 3I Atlas was a manufactured object? Not a comet or asteroid, but something intentionally engineered to behave in such an extraordinary way. The more this silence stretched on, the more the public began to wonder, what exactly was NASA seeing? What was in the data that could be so shocking, so revolutionary, that they felt it was best to keep it hidden? Was it possible that the space agency was protecting us from a truth that humanity wasn't ready to face? Was there a chance that the object contained something, a message, a signal, or even evidence of extraterrestrial life, that could change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe? This uncertainty was compounded by the fact that independent scientists and amateur astronomers were able to access some of the data themselves. They were able to analyze the object's trajectory and chemical makeup, leading them to the same unsettling conclusions. 3I Atlas was not just another interstellar object. It was something that had been deliberately placed in our path, something that didn't behave like anything we had ever seen before. The more they analyzed the data, the more they became convinced that there was something that NASA wasn't telling the world, something far more significant than a simple celestial object. The reality was clear. Something in the data surrounding 3I Atlas was far more than just a scientific anomaly. The object had already forced humanity to reconsider its understanding of space, of physics, and of the very nature of the universe itself. Yet, as the mystery deepened, NASA's refusal to disclose the full range of data only served to heighten the sense of unease. What were they really seeing, and why weren't they telling us? Whatever it was, one thing was certain. Through Atlas was not just another object from the stars, it was a puzzle, one that was far from being solved. And NASA's silence only made the answers all the more elusive. When 3 Atlas was first detected, astronomers were quick to classify it as a comet, an icy visitor from the far reaches of space. But as the object began its journey through the solar system, its behavior defied expectations and forced scientists to reconsider their assumptions. While most comets follow a predictable pattern, gradually heating up as they approach the Sun, releasing gas and dust in a classic display of outgassing, 3 Atlas was different. Its outgassing began far earlier than expected, and the volume of gas it emitted was inexplicably high, raising suspicions that this comet was far more than just a frozen rock. Outgassing is a typical characteristic of comets. As they approach the Sun, the heat causes the ices in the comet's nucleus to vaporize, releasing gas and dust in a brilliant display that forms a coma and often a tail. This process is what gives comets their distinctive glowing appearance. However, 3I Atlas began releasing gas long before it reached the traditional outgassing zone, the region near the Sun where solar radiation is intense enough to vaporize the comet's icy surface. For most comets, this outgassing doesn't begin until they're within 5 astronomical units of the Sun, roughly the distance between Earth and Mars. But 3 Atlas started releasing gas when it was still beyond Jupiter's orbit, a full 5 astronomical units further out, where sunlight is weak and the comet should have remained dormant, a frozen block of ice and rock, far from any visible activity. What made this early outgassing even more mysterious was the sheer intensity of the gas emissions. Comets typically release small amounts of gas as they warm up, gradually increasing in volume as they get closer to the Sun. But 3I Atlas was different. The object's outgassing was disproportionate to its distance from the Sun, with emissions far more significant than what scientists would expect from a comet at that stage in its approach. Observations from several telescopes around the world confirmed this unusual activity. The coma surrounding 3I Atlas was bright, dense and large, much more pronounced than would be expected at such a great distance. This suggested that the object's activity wasn't just the result of normal cometary processes, but something else at play, something that scientists could not yet explain. One of the most puzzling aspects of the outgassing was the composition of the gases. Normally, comets release a mixture of water vapor, carbon dioxide, and ammonia as their ices vaporize. However, 3I Atlas was emitting gases that didn't match the standard cometary profile. In particular, the amount of carbon dioxide it was releasing was much higher than expected. This raised further questions. Why was 3I Atlas producing such an unusual chemical signature so far from the Sun? Could it be that the object wasn't just a frozen ball of gas and ice, but something else entirely? Something that could be generating its own emissions independent of the Sun's heat? As the scientific community grappled with this anomaly, a more unsettling theory began to take shape. What if 3I Atlas wasn't just a natural comet at all? The object's early outgassing, combined with its strange chemical emissions, began to suggest that it could be the product of something far more engineered. Some researchers began to wonder if 3I Atlas was not just an object that had been formed in the traditional manner, but a piece of technology. A probe, perhaps, sent from another civilization or engineered by an advanced intelligence to behave in a way that mimicked a comet. The early outgassing, the precision with which it began, and the volume of gas being emitted all pointed to something more deliberate than a simple comet. This theory was bolstered by 3I Atlas's unusual shape and trajectory, both of which seemed far too precise to be the result of random forces. The object's early outgassing could be part of a larger process, something carefully orchestrated to give the object a particular appearance and behavior as it passed through the solar system. Was the outgassing intentional, a way to create the illusion of a comet, or was it part of a larger hidden agenda? The idea that 3 Atlas could be a technological object, deliberately designed to behave like a comet, was unsettling but increasingly difficult to ignore. This possibility raised even more questions about 3I Atlas's true purpose. If it was a probe, what was it observing? What was its mission? And why was it sending such a strong signal of activity at a time when humanity was becoming more capable of detecting these anomalies? Was the outgassing part of a larger plan to gather information on our solar system? Or was it a signal meant to alert us to something we had not yet understood? The behaviour of 3i Atlas as it passed through the solar system challenged everything scientists thought they knew about comets. Its early outgassing, disproportionate gas emissions, and unusual chemical signature were all signs that this object was far from ordinary. It wasn't just a frozen rock drifting through space. It was a carefully orchestrated event, one that would forever change our understanding of interstellar objects. As more data came in, the question remained. Was 3i Atlas really just another comet, or was it something far more intentional, a carefully designed tool sent from the unknown to transform our understanding of the cosmos? As 3i Atlas made its way through the solar system, questions began to emerge that extended far beyond the object itself. It wasn't just the object's strange composition, its early outgassing, or its seemingly deliberate trajectory that caught the attention of scientists and the public. There was something more. What if 3i Atlas wasn't just a random cosmic object, but part of something far more complex, a piece of a larger, classified plan, a plan that could involve the US government and its secret Mars missions, designed long before 3i Atlas arrived, to terraform and prepare Mars for future colonization? The idea that the US government has been preparing for a Mars colonization effort in secret has been the subject of conspiracy theories for years. While NASA and private companies like SpaceX have made headlines with ambitious plans to land humans on Mars, there are whispers that much more has been happening behind the scenes. Projects funded by government agencies, military contractors, and shadow organizations, all working toward a long-term goal that has yet to be fully revealed to the public. Could 3i Atlas be part of this covert agenda, an advanced tool designed to help kickstart the terraforming of Mars? When you look closely at the timeline of events, the idea begins to seem less far-fetched. Over the past few decades, the US government has been heavily involved in missions to study Mars, with rovers like Opportunity, Curiosity, and Perseverance regularly sending back data. But what if these rovers, and the discoveries they made, were only the beginning of a much larger plan? What if the Mars missions had a dual purpose, both to explore the planet and to prepare it for something far more significant, human habitation? It's important to consider the significant leaps in technology that have occurred in recent years. Much of the technology used in space exploration, such as the Mars rovers and advanced telescopes, have been developed under the guise of scientific missions. However, as 3i Atlas approached, it became clear that NASA and other space agencies weren't just observing. They were also quietly positioning themselves for something much bigger. The presence of 3i Atlas, an object of such great significance, may not have been a coincidence. Could it have been deliberately directed toward Mars to help facilitate the terraforming process, which could already be underway, with or without the public's knowledge? One of the key pieces of evidence supporting the idea of a secret Mars mission is the consistent push by government-backed projects to develop technologies that could one day alter the Martian environment. Long before 3i Atlas appeared, there had been growing interest in the possibility of terraforming Mars, a process that would make the red planet hospitable for human life. This involves a variety of techniques, from thickening the atmosphere with greenhouse gases to melting the polar ice caps and releasing the trapped carbon dioxide. And despite the challenges, certain factions of the government and private industry were quietly working on these very projects. Behind closed doors, government-funded think tanks, military contractors, and aerospace companies were exploring ways to modify Mars' atmosphere, its temperature, and its surface composition. These classified missions were building the foundation for what could eventually become a Mars colony, one where humanity could survive and thrive. The question is, was 3i Atlas sent to assist in that process? Could it be a tool designed to release gases into the Martian atmosphere, kick-starting the terraforming process on a scale that the public was unaware of? The presence of carbon dioxide and other unusual gases in the object's outgassing is telling, and the fact that it passed so close to Mars only adds to the suspicion that this wasn't a random encounter. Consider the timing as well. The US government and its space agencies have been under intense scrutiny in recent years due to their increasing interest in Mars. With SpaceX leading the charge for human exploration of the planet, and NASA planning for long-term human missions, it's not hard to see the long-term goal of colonizing Mars. But these public-facing plans may be just one part of the equation. Could 3i Atlas have been used as a tool, a message or a signal, in a much larger hidden operation? What if the object's early outgassing and unusual chemical composition were not just random anomalies, but a carefully orchestrated part of a much larger plan to modify the environment of Mars in preparation for the future arrival of human settlers? It's a chilling thought, but one that fits with the growing body of evidence suggesting that the US government has known far more about Mars than it has ever let on. Could 3I Atlas be the first in a series of interstellar objects designed to alter planets for future colonization? If 3I Atlas is indeed part of a classified operation to terraform Mars, it raises profound questions not only about our future as a species, but about who or what might have been guiding this process long before we were ready to step foot on the red planet. The secrets surrounding 3I Atlas go beyond its strange physical characteristics or its unnerving precision. They hint at a much deeper mystery, one that may involve humanity's role in a larger cosmic engineering project. If 3I Atlas is indeed part of a hidden Mars mission, it's just the beginning of a much larger, far-reaching plan. The US government may not be telling us everything about Mars, and perhaps the real question isn't whether we can colonize the red planet, but whether we are already being prepared to inherit it, through means that have been hidden from us for generations. As 3's Atlas made its way through our solar system, something striking began to emerge, an eerie connection between the object's arrival and ancient Sumerian prophecies that spoke of gods descending from the heavens. These ancient texts, written thousands of years ago, described a time when celestial visitors would come from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. Remarkably, 3I Atlas, an interstellar object that had captured the world's attention, originated from that very same region of space. Was this just an extraordinary coincidence, or could 3I Atlas be fulfilling a promise made by ancient civilizations long before humanity even had the technology to look beyond our own solar system? The Sumerians, one of the earliest known civilizations, left behind a wealth of knowledge in their texts, many of which contain detailed descriptions of events tied to the arrival of mysterious gods from the stars. In the ancient Sumerian creation myths, the Anunnaki, a group of gods who, according to their texts, came from the stars, are said to have arrived in a celestial object that travelled through the heavens. These gods, according to the Sumerian texts, brought with them advanced knowledge and technology, and they were believed to have shaped the very foundations of human civilization. Their return, described in the ancient prophecies, was said to coincide with the alignment of celestial bodies, and more specifically, with the passage of an object from the direction of Sagittarius. When 3 Atlas was first discovered, its trajectory caught the attention of astronomers and researchers, who noted that it was coming from the exact same direction described in these ancient prophecies. The object's path through the solar system seemed almost too precise to be a mere coincidence. Was it possible that 3I Atlas was more than just a random interstellar object, but a celestial visitor fulfilling an ancient promise made by the gods of the past? The idea that 3I Atlas was linked to a prophecy from thousands of years ago raised more questions than answers, and it was hard to ignore the striking parallels between the two. As scientists scrambled to make sense of the object's unusual behaviour, others began to delve deeper into the ancient texts, trying to find connections between the prophecies and the interstellar object. The Sumerian texts described the arrival of these gods as part of a cyclical event, a return that would happen once every several millennia. The idea of celestial cycles aligning perfectly with significant cosmic events was not just the stuff of myth, it seemed to have a real, astronomical basis. And now, here was 3I Atlas, coming from the same direction, at a time when humanity was on the brink of major advancements in space exploration. Was this the fulfillment of a prophecy, or was it simply the universe's way of reminding us of something ancient and beyond our understanding? This connection between the ancient texts and the appearance of 3I Atlas seemed to be more than just symbolic. If we believe the Sumerians, the Anunnaki, weren't just gods in the traditional sense, they were beings with advanced technology who had the ability to shape the destiny of planets, including Earth. Their arrival, as described in these ancient myths, wasn't just a visit from celestial beings, it was an event that would mark a significant shift in human history. Could it be that 3I Atlas is part of something much larger, an event that is tied to the ancient prophecies of the Anunnaki? If this object is indeed a messenger or a harbinger from a distant civilization, it might not just be passing through our solar system. It could be marking the beginning of something far greater, a return of sorts, just as the Sumerians predicted. The ancient Sumerians were not the only civilization to speak of celestial visitors. Cultures around the world, from the Egyptians to the Mayans, have left behind similar myths and prophecies. These stories speak of gods, or celestial beings, descending from the stars, bringing knowledge and changing the course of history. It is as if, across cultures, there has been an underlying belief in a cosmic cycle, a belief that at some point the gods will return. And now, in the 21st century, we are faced with an interstellar object that is behaving in ways that defy all our current understanding of the universe. Could it be that 3i Atlas is the fulfillment of this ancient cosmic prophecy, a message sent from the stars to remind humanity of its origins and its future? While modern science may dismiss these ancient prophecies as mere myth, the undeniable connection between the appearance of 3i Atlas and these age-old texts raises a chilling question. What if the myths were not just stories but warnings? What if the Sumerians and other ancient cultures had knowledge of cosmic events and celestial visitors that modern science is only now beginning to uncover? The appearance of 3i Atlas is more than just a scientific anomaly. It's a reminder that the universe is far more mysterious than we've been led to believe, and that some truths may be hidden in the ancient stories of our past. As 3i Atlas continues its journey through our solar system, we are left to wonder if the object's arrival is part of a much larger plan, one that spans across time and space, touching not only our present but our ancient history as well. Could it be that 3i Atlas is a messenger from the distant past, fulfilling a promise made by the gods of old? Or is it simply another cosmic anomaly, one that we are only beginning to understand? Either way, its presence forces us to reconsider our place in the universe and to ask the question, what or who is truly guiding our destiny? As 3 Atlas continues its journey through our solar system, it is rapidly approaching a critical point, its closest approach to the Sun. This moment, which will bring the object just within 1.4 astronomical units of our star, is more than just another milestone in its path. In fact, its arrival at this moment is so perfectly timed with the solar conjunction, the time when the Sun, Earth, and 3 Atlas will align, that it raises serious questions about whether this is just another natural celestial event or something far more deliberate. The timing of 3i Atlas's approach suggests that the object's closest pass is not just a random occurrence, but a calculated moment that could be used for manipulation, course adjustments, or even the deployment of technologies that we, as observers, may never fully understand. Solar conjunction is a well-known astronomical event where the Sun's position in the sky lines up with that of an object in our solar system. During this time, Earth and other observers on our planet are effectively on the opposite side of the Sun from the object, rendering it invisible to our instruments. While this alignment happens regularly with many objects in the solar system, the fact that 3i Atlas is reaching its closest approach at this precise moment is too perfect to be ignored. The Sun's immense gravitational pull, combined with the object's position relative to Earth, makes it a prime candidate for a hidden agenda, one that could involve sophisticated technological maneuvers, course corrections, or even the deployment of hidden systems that are designed to remain undetected. This moment of solar conjunction presents a unique opportunity for those behind 3i Atlas, assuming it is not just a random celestial wanderer, but an engineered object with a purpose. The Sun's massive radiation and gravitational field can be used to alter the trajectory of objects, subtly adjusting their course without any visible signs to the naked eye. If 3i Atlas is part of a larger plan, whether it be an experiment, a message, or a mission, this alignment could provide the ideal cover for such maneuvers. For the entire duration of solar conjunction, Earth's observers will be unable to get a clear view of the object. This gives those who may be controlling or guiding 3i Atlas a brief window to make course adjustments, activate hidden technologies, or even deploy systems that we are not equipped to detect. Moreover, the Sun itself is an extraordinary source of energy. If 3i Atlas is equipped with advanced systems or technology, this alignment with the Sun could provide an ideal moment to tap into that immense energy for whatever purpose it was designed for. The Sun's proximity to the object, combined with the reduced visibility from Earth, might allow it to harness solar radiation in ways we can't even begin to imagine, possibly to activate internal systems, power up hidden technologies, or even generate forces capable of altering its trajectory or its effects on nearby planets, like Mars. With solar conjunction acting as a natural cover, 3i Atlas could be carrying out tasks or transmitting data in a way that we can't observe or intercept. The timing of this moment also raises serious questions about the nature of 3i Atlas's arrival. Could the object's trajectory and behavior be calculated with such precision that this solar conjunction was factored into its mission from the very beginning? Was this event, this moment of perfect alignment, chosen for its unique ability to shield the object from our observations, while offering the ideal opportunity for those behind it to carry out whatever objectives they had planned? The more we consider this, the more it seems that 3i Atlas's arrival is not just a random cosmic occurrence. Its perfect alignment with solar conjunctions suggests that there is more at play, a carefully orchestrated event designed to unfold in ways that humanity is not yet ready to fully understand. This raises the unsettling possibility that 3i Atlas is more than just a passive object passing through our solar system. If it is indeed the product of advanced intelligence, its actions during this time could go unnoticed by our current level of technology, with its hidden activities taking place in the vast, unobservable reaches of space. As it nears its closest approach to the Sun, 3 Atlas could be preparing to execute a series of operations, adjustments, or transmissions that will leave us none the wiser. The solar conjunction provides the perfect cover, the ideal moment for manipulation, hidden technology deployment, or even subtle course changes that will not become apparent until it's too late. For those observing 3i Atlas, the next few months will be critical. As it reaches its closest point to the Sun and moves beyond the point of solar conjunction, we will be left with the lingering question of what might have happened during this hidden phase, and whether we missed a significant moment that could have revealed much more about the true nature of 3i Atlas. Could it be that the object's true purpose is not just to pass through our solar system, but to carry out a carefully timed and executed operation, one that we can neither see nor understand? The mystery of 3 Atlas continues to deepen, and as it disappears from view, we are left to wonder what we will never know about this cosmic visitor, and why its moment in the solar system was timed so perfectly. As 3i Atlas draws closer to Mars, its arrival seems increasingly significant, not just as an interstellar visitor, but as a catalyst for something much larger. While the scientific community is focused on its trajectory, composition, and mysterious behavior, the implications of its proximity to the red planet cannot be ignored. What if 3i Atlas isn't just a passive observer of Mars, but an active participant in a much larger plan to transform the planet? Could this object, whose behavior defies natural expectations, be playing a pivotal role in unlocking the secrets of Mars, a planet that has long been thought to have once supported life, but has since become a barren, frozen wasteland? The idea that 3i Atlas is part of a centuries-old plan to terraform Mars and make it habitable again is a disturbing and fascinating possibility that forces us to reconsider everything we know about the red planet. Mars has long captivated the human imagination. Its similarities to Earth, particularly in terms of its day length and surface features, have made it the most likely candidate for human colonization. But Mars is not the lush, vibrant world that it once might have been. Evidence suggests that Mars was once home to a thriving atmosphere and liquid water, but for reasons that are still not entirely understood, the planet's atmosphere thinned and its surface temperatures dropped, rendering it inhospitable. For years, scientists have theorized that if Mars could be made to retain a thicker atmosphere and increase its temperature, the planet could be transformed into a habitable world once again. This concept, known as terraforming, has been the subject of great debate, with most of the proposals focused on the idea of slowly introducing gases like carbon dioxide into the atmosphere to trigger a greenhouse effect. But what if 3i Atlas, this mysterious interstellar object, is playing a more direct role in this transformation? From the very beginning of its journey through the solar system, 3i Atlas has exhibited strange behavior that seems to suggest it is not just a random comet passing through, but an object designed with intent. Its chemical composition, for example, includes unusually high levels of carbon dioxide, the very gas needed to thicken the Martian atmosphere and initiate the greenhouse effect. While comets typically release gas and dust only as they approach the Sun, 3i Atlas began emitting these gases long before it reached the inner solar system. This early outgassing, which started well beyond Jupiter's orbit, could be seen as a deliberate effort to release the precise chemicals required to start a transformation on Mars. or to set in motion a chain of events that would allow the red planet to be altered to support life once again? Could 3D Atlas be part of a deliberate centuries-old plan to terraform Mars? Some theories suggest that this object is not a random celestial body, but a tool, perhaps a machine or a part of a larger engineered project designed to deliver the necessary elements to make Mars habitable. The timing of its arrival, aligned with the increasing interest in Mars colonization by both governmental and private organizations, seems to be too perfect to be mere chance. The United States and private companies like SpaceX have been vocal about their plans to colonize Mars, but what if this is not a new idea at all? What if Mars has been part of a long-term, covert terraforming project initiated by advanced civilizations, or perhaps even by humanity itself, in ways we have yet to fully understand? Mars's transformation could be far more complex than we imagine. Beyond simply altering its atmosphere, the process of terraforming would require the manipulation of a variety of factors, from the temperature of the planet to the presence of liquid water on its surface. If 3i Atlas is indeed an engineered object, it could be one piece of a much larger puzzle. Perhaps the object is releasing gases or chemicals that will interact with the Martian environment in ways we cannot yet predict, slowly triggering a process that could eventually result in a habitable atmosphere. If this were true, it would mean that the planet has been under observation, and possibly even engineering for much longer than we realize. It would suggest that the process of transforming Mars into a second Earth has already begun, with 3i Atlas serving as a key player in the plan. There's also the possibility that 3i Atlas could be sending a signal, a message that could provide the next step in the process of Mars transformation. If the object is part of a larger interstellar or cosmic project, it might be transmitting information back to its creators, or to those who are monitoring its progress. This could mean that Mars transformation is not only the result of natural forces or human intervention, but part of a grander, coordinated effort by an advanced intelligence. And as 3 Atlas passes through the solar system, we may be witnessing the final stages of a plan that has been in motion for thousands of years. The idea that 3 Atlas is playing an active role in transforming Mars is both captivating and unsettling. If this theory holds, it would mean that the destiny of the red planet is not in our hands alone, but part of a larger cosmic design, one that could alter the course of human history and redefine our understanding of life in the universe. The questions surrounding 3i Atlas are far from answered, but one thing is clear: its proximity to Mars, its strange behaviour, and the potential role it may be playing in the planet's transformation have opened up a new realm of possibilities. Could this be the beginning of Mars becoming a second home for humanity? Or is it the first step in an even more mysterious plan, one that has been unfolding long before we were even aware of it? As 3 Atlas continued its journey through our solar system, its peculiar behaviour and strange characteristics quickly captured the attention of both the scientific community and the general public. The object was anything but ordinary. From its unexpected trajectory to its unusual chemical composition and early outgassing, 3i Atlas seemed to be far more than just a comet passing through. Yet despite the mounting questions and the growing sense of unease, the world's governments remained eerily silent. Why was there such a refusal to discuss the object's strange qualities and its potential dangers? Why was there no official acknowledgement of the mounting concerns surrounding this unprecedented interstellar visitor? What was the world's most powerful scientific institutions, such as NASA, hiding from the public? The silence surrounding 3i Atlas wasn't just a quiet pause or a delay for further research. It felt deliberate, as though a conscious decision had been made to suppress the truth. At first, the lack of information could have been chalked up to a wait-and-see approach. After all, no one could have predicted that the object would behave so unusually. However, as the data accumulated, and 3i Atlas's behaviour continued to defy explanation, the silence grew more troubling. The global scientific community should have been in full swing, releasing data, sharing findings, and working together to solve the mysteries that this object presented. Instead, the public was left in the dark, with only fragmented, incomplete information trickling through unofficial channels. One of the most alarming aspects of this silence was the lack of a coordinated, transparent response from the world's space agencies. NASA, the European Space Agency, ESA, and other international bodies remained conspicuously absent from the conversation. Normally, when an object of such magnitude enters the solar system, the space agencies would release press briefings, detailed data, and even images taken by orbiting spacecraft. But with 3I Atlas, the situation was different. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which was perfectly positioned to capture images of the object as it passed close to Mars, remained eerily quiet. Even as scientists and amateur astronomers alike observed and reported the object's strange features, the official sources of information remained largely closed off. The lack of updates, images, or even detailed scientific reports from the agencies that should have been at the forefront of investigating this object raised disturbing questions. What was being hidden? What did they know that they were not sharing with the public? This silence quickly gave rise to speculation, a growing sense that something more was at play. Was it possible that 3 Atlas was far more dangerous than the authorities were letting on? Could the object pose a threat to Earth, Mars, or the entire solar system, and the powers that be were suppressing this knowledge to avoid panic? The idea that governments and space agencies were actively withholding information in order to maintain control over public perception seemed all too plausible. Governments have long been known to conceal information, particularly when it involves national security or potential threats to the status quo. Could 3 Atlas's strange behavior, including its unexplainable trajectory and its early outgassing, be a harbinger of something far more insidious than we realized? Perhaps there was more at stake than simple scientific curiosity. The very idea that 3 Atlas might be part of an ancient cosmic design, a tool sent to manipulate or transform planets, or even to monitor Earth's development, could explain why the information surrounding it was so tightly controlled. If 3 Atlas was indeed part of a larger interstellar or cosmic operation, revealing its true nature to the public could disrupt not only scientific paradigms, but also political and cultural systems. The powers that be may have chosen to suppress information about the object because they were unable to explain its true purpose or implications, fearing that releasing such knowledge could trigger widespread panic, distrust, or even mass hysteria. Another possibility is that 3 Atlas's presence is tied to a hidden agenda far beyond the understanding of ordinary people. If the object is indeed part of a long-term plan to terraform Mars, or if it has been deliberately sent to Earth for reasons we don't yet comprehend, those in power may be afraid of what revealing such a truth could mean. Could 3 Atlas be part of a cosmic experiment or a broader agenda of planetary transformation? If so, the implications of such a revelation could be staggering. Governments may be reluctant to release information that could force humanity to confront uncomfortable truths about our place in the universe, about extraterrestrial influences, or even about the true nature of our origins. While the scientific community has made some progress in studying 3I Atlas, the persistent silence from the powers that govern space exploration only deepens the sense of unease surrounding the object. Why would such extraordinary evidence, such extraordinary phenomena be kept under wraps? Is there something in the data that is too disturbing for the public to handle? Or is there a larger, more calculated agenda behind this silence? One designed to keep humanity in the dark, to suppress knowledge of a truth we are not yet ready to understand. As 3I Atlas continues its journey through the solar system, the silence surrounding its true purpose only grows louder. It's a silence that speaks volumes, raising even more questions about what is really happening and what is being hidden from the public. Whatever the truth may be, the lack of transparency and the refusal to acknowledge the object's strange behavior seem to be part of a larger, carefully orchestrated effort to control the narrative. Whether it's to avoid mass panic or to protect a deeper secret, the global silence surrounding 3I Atlas makes one thing clear. There is far more to this object than anyone is willing to admit, and the truth, whatever it is, may be more than we can handle. As 3I Atlas continues its slow journey through our solar system, a growing theory has taken hold in certain corners of the scientific community, one that raises both excitement and fear in equal measure. Could this interstellar object be more than just a comet or asteroid? Could it be alien technology, or perhaps a byproduct of a far more advanced civilization sent to observe, manipulate, or even alter our solar system? The evidence, though circumstantial, is starting to paint a picture that is difficult to ignore. With every new discovery about 3I Atlas's unusual behavior, trajectory and composition, the possibility that this object is not of natural origin becomes harder to dismiss. From the outset, 3I Atlas's path through the solar system defied conventional expectations. Its trajectory was too precise, too deliberate to be a random wanderer from deep space. Most interstellar objects that pass through our solar system take erratic, unpredictable paths, influenced by the gravitational pulls of distant stars and other cosmic forces. But 3I Atlas came from the direction of Sagittarius, a region of space that had long been associated with ancient prophecies, and its trajectory was suspiciously well aligned with the ecliptic plane of our solar system. This level of precision raised an immediate red flag for astronomers. Could it be that this object wasn't just drifting through space, but was in fact on a carefully calculated course? Then there was the object's strange brightness. Comets and asteroids, even those in the far reaches of the solar system, are usually cold and dark, illuminated only by the weak sunlight that reaches them. Yet 3I Atlas was shining far brighter than it should have been. Its reflectivity didn't match that of typical comets or asteroids, and the amount of light it was reflecting was too intense to be explained by the faint sunlight it received at such a distance. Could this be a sign of advanced technology, something artificially engineered to produce such an unexpected radiance? Some have suggested that this unusual brightness could be the result of solar panels or other energy-harvesting devices, possibly indicating that 3I Atlas is not just an object but a functional probe, a technological artifact sent to gather data, observe, or even interact with our solar system in ways we are not yet capable of understanding. The chemical composition of 3I Atlas provides even more tantalizing clues. Unlike typical comets, which are composed of water ice, methane, and ammonia, 3I Atlas displayed a chemical signature that didn't align with anything found in nature. The object emitted an unusually high level of carbon dioxide, far beyond what is typical for a comet at its distance from the Sun. More intriguingly, there were trace elements and organic compounds found that seemed too deliberate to be the result of natural processes. Could these compounds be part of an engineered system, a clue that 3I Atlas is more than just a cosmic anomaly? If this is the case, it suggests that the object was deliberately designed to interact with its environment, possibly to carry out a mission that we have yet to fully comprehend. Theories about alien technology are not new, but they have gained traction in light of 3I Atlas's peculiar characteristics. Could this object be a probe, sent by an advanced civilization, either as a form of scientific exploration or as part of a larger interstellar plan? Given the timing of its arrival and its behavior, some have speculated that 3I Atlas could be a tool designed to monitor or manipulate our solar system. Its close pass by Mars, a planet that has long been the subject of interest for both science and science fiction, raises further suspicions. Could 3I Atlas be part of a larger effort to prepare Mars for future colonization or transformation? What if it's not just observing, but actually influencing the environment of the planets it passes by? The idea that 3I Atlas could be a technological probe designed to interact with our solar system brings with it a host of unsettling implications. If this object is indeed of artificial origin, the next logical question is, what is its purpose? Is it simply gathering data, or is it altering the course of events within our solar system? If 3I Atlas is capable of interacting with the environment of planets, could it be setting the stage for a much larger operation, one that could involve terraforming, manipulation of planetary atmospheres, or the subtle shifting of the balance of our solar system? Moreover, the presence of 3I Atlas raises even more pressing questions about the existence of extraterrestrial life. If this object is a product of an advanced civilization, it suggests that we may not be alone in the universe, and that other civilizations have the technology to send probes or artifacts across interstellar distances. Could this be the first confirmation of intelligent life beyond Earth? Or, perhaps more troubling, could we be witnessing the beginning of a much larger interaction between our planet and a far more advanced civilization, one whose motives remain unclear? The terrifying possibility that 3I Atlas is a piece of alien technology forces us to confront the very nature of our place in the universe. Are we simply passive observers of this cosmic drama, or are we actively being observed, studied, or manipulated by forces beyond our comprehension? If 3I Atlas is indeed a probe sent by an advanced civilization, it would signal that humanity is not only part of a larger interconnected universe, but that we may have just begun to scratch the surface of understanding what lies beyond our planet. The implications of this theory, both for our scientific knowledge and for the future of humanity, are profound and terrifying, and we may find ourselves forced to confront the truth whether we are ready or not. As 3 Atlas approaches its closest point to the Sun, the question of its origin and purpose becomes more pressing. While many have viewed the object through the lens of astronomical curiosity, a comet or asteroid passing through our solar system on its unpredictable path, a growing body of evidence suggests that it may be part of something much more profound, a piece of a grand cosmic blueprint. The idea that 3 Atlas could be part of a larger interconnected design for the universe raises profound questions about the nature of existence, the evolution of life, and humanity's place within the cosmos. Could this interstellar object, with all its strange properties, be a marker in a larger scheme of cosmic evolution, a carefully timed event that signals a new phase in our understanding of the universe? When we look at the arrival of 3I Atlas, we must consider it not just as a singular event, but as part of a broader pattern. The universe, with all its complexity, has always seemed to operate according to rules that extend far beyond our understanding. Over the course of human history, we have observed recurring patterns in nature, from the cycles of the planets to the movements of stars, all of which suggest an underlying order to the cosmos. The idea that 3 Atlas fits into this cosmic design, that its arrival at this exact moment in time is no coincidence, challenges our understanding of space, time, and purpose. Could the universe be unfolding according to a plan, one that we are only beginning to perceive? The very fact that 3I Atlas is an interstellar object suggests that it is part of a broader network of cosmic activity. Objects like these are not common in our solar system. In fact, their very rarity points to something far more significant than mere randomness. Interstellar objects, when they do appear, are typically regarded as cosmic travelers, wandering from one star system to another without any apparent direction or purpose. However, 3 Atlas's trajectory, its strange composition, and its baffling outgassing behavior seem to suggest that it may have been deliberately directed toward our solar system. This raises the possibility that 3I Atlas is not a random visitor, but a piece of a larger cosmic puzzle, one that may be intricately woven into the fabric of universal evolution. The timing of its arrival is particularly intriguing. As 3I Atlas reaches its closest approach to the Sun, humanity stands on the verge of an unprecedented era of space exploration and technological advancement. We are on the cusp of colonizing other planets, of expanding our reach beyond Earth and into the stars. Could 3I Atlas's appearance be a signal, a cosmic signpost marking the beginning of this new chapter in human history? The very fact that 3 Atlas is passing through our solar system at a time when we are beginning to explore Mars, the Moon, and even other star systems suggests that it may be part of a grander plan, one that spans the timeline of cosmic evolution and perhaps even the development of intelligent life itself. If we consider 3I Atlas as part of a larger cosmic blueprint, then its role becomes clear. It may be a catalyst, a trigger for the next phase in the evolution of our solar system, or even the universe itself. Its unusual properties, the brightness, the trajectory, the outgassing, might not be random at all. These could be signs of intentional design, an engineered object sent to deliver certain elements or information to humanity or to our solar system. Perhaps 3I Atlas is not just a passing object, but a marker in an ongoing process, a step in a larger cosmic agenda that has been unfolding for eons. The idea that 3 Atlas could be part of a grand cosmic plan raises profound implications for the future. If it is indeed part of a larger evolutionary scheme, then its arrival may be just the beginning. What other objects, forces, or influences are at work in this cosmic blueprint? Could 3I Atlas be one piece in a series of events designed to shape the future of life, not only on Earth, but across the cosmos? The notion that the universe is more interconnected than we ever imagined suggests that the arrival of 3I Atlas is not an isolated event, but rather a single thread in a much larger tapestry. For humanity, this revelation, if it proves true, would be both humbling and exhilarating. It would mean that our understanding of life, the universe, and our place in it is far more complex than we ever thought. It would suggest that intelligent life, or perhaps even some higher cosmic force, is actively guiding the evolution of the universe, shaping it in ways that are beyond our current comprehension. If 3i Atlas is part of a larger plan, it may be that we too are players in this cosmic drama, with a role to play in the unfolding future of our solar system and beyond. As we continue to study 3i Atlas and its mysterious properties, we are forced to confront the possibility that our place in the universe is far more intertwined with cosmic forces than we realize. The object's strange behaviors, its perfectly timed arrival, and its potential connection to interstellar evolution suggest that 3i Atlas may be much more than a passing curiosity. It could be a sign, a marker in the larger cosmic blueprint, signaling that humanity is on the brink of a monumental change, one that will alter the course of history and perhaps even the destiny of our planet. The question remains, will we be ready to embrace the future, whatever it may hold, and understand the full significance of the cosmic forces that are shaping our destiny? As 3i Atlas continues its slow, methodical journey through our solar system, its final destination grows ever nearer, and with it, the unsettling reality that we are quickly running out of time to uncover the truth. The object has already forced humanity to confront questions we were not prepared to ask. Questions about the nature of our place in the universe, the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence, and the purpose of this strange, interstellar visitor. Yet, as we approach the final phase of 3i Atlas's passage, the world's response has been startlingly muted. Governments remain silent, space agencies withhold crucial data, and the scientific community seems unwilling or unable to confront the most disturbing possibility, that 3i Atlas may not be a natural object at all, but a carefully orchestrated piece of a much larger hidden plan. The question now becomes clear. Will we choose to remain ignorant, content with the comfortable narrative we've built around this object, or will we face the truth? And what happens if we don't? As 3i Atlas reaches the final stages of its journey, we're at a crossroads. Its approach to the Sun, its close encounter with Mars, and its eventual departure from our solar system represent more than just astronomical events. They represent a turning point, a moment in history where we must decide what we, as a species, are willing to acknowledge about our place in the cosmos. The data gathered so far paints a picture that is impossible to ignore. 3i Atlas is no ordinary interstellar object. From its bizarre trajectory to its outgassing, from its unnatural brightness to its strange chemical composition, every aspect of this object points to something far more deliberate, far more engineered than any comet or asteroid humanity has ever observed. Yet the world's governments and scientific institutions continue to withhold the full extent of their findings, leaving us to piece together the mystery on our own. Why this silence? Why this refusal to engage with the full scope of what 3i Atlas might represent? The simplest answer, of course, is fear. Fear of what the truth might mean. Fear of what it would mean for the scientific community, for global politics, for the very foundation of everything we've built. If 3i Atlas is indeed a probe, a piece of alien technology, or part of a larger cosmic plan, then the implications for humanity are nothing short of world-altering. Are we ready to accept that we are not alone in the universe? Are we prepared to face the possibility that 3i Atlas may not be a passing comet, but a messenger sent to communicate with or observe us? Are we ready to question everything we thought we knew about the origins of life, the nature of the cosmos, and our role within it? As 3i Atlas reaches its closest point to the Sun, the window for observation grows smaller, and our ability to gather crucial data from the object becomes increasingly limited. Once it passes beyond the reach of our instruments, we may be left with nothing but theories and speculation. The opportunity to unlock the true purpose of 3i Atlas could slip through our fingers forever. What will we learn in the final moments of its journey? And how will we respond? Will we ask the right questions? Or will we allow this moment to pass by, content to let the mystery remain unsolved? This is where the final countdown begins. The questions we must ask are not just about 3i Atlas. They're about our place in the universe, the future of humanity, and whether we are ready to confront the unknown. What happens when we face the reality that there may be forces in the cosmos beyond our comprehension, operating on a scale we cannot yet understand? What happens when we realize that the universe may not be as random, as chaotic, or as indifferent as we've always assumed, but that there may be patterns, designs, or plans unfolding that we are only beginning to recognize? If we continue to turn a blind eye, If we refuse to ask the hard questions, then we risk missing the most significant event in human history. The mystery of 3i Atlas is not just about understanding an interstellar object. It's about understanding our place in the grand cosmic scheme. It's about asking why 3i Atlas came when it did, why it followed the trajectory it did, and why its arrival seemed so perfectly timed with our own technological advancements. Is it possible that this object is part of a much larger plan, a plan that has been in motion for eons, and that we are merely beginning to understand? If so, we need to face the truth now, before it's too late. The window of opportunity is closing, and once 3i Atlas passes beyond the reach of our instruments, we may never know the full extent of its purpose. The final moments of 3 Atlas's journey are upon us. As it moves further away from the sun, further out of our view, we are left with a choice: to remain in the dark, to cling to the comforting notion that this object is just another passing cosmic phenomenon, or to face the uncomfortable truth that we are part of something much bigger than ourselves. The questions we ask now will shape the future of humanity, and the answers, whatever they may be, will define our understanding of the universe for generations to come. The choice is ours, but the time is running out. That's all for today's exploration of 3i Atlas. What do you believe its true purpose is? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more investigations into the mysteries of our universe.